Japanese anime industry earning more money than ever, almost all of it from outside Japan. This comes from this comes from Japan Today. Excuse me, I almost said Japan Times. No, this comes from Japan Today. And I miss the days when I would be able to read a headline like this and think, oh, it's actually pretty cool. The anime industry is getting more well-known across the world. More people are getting into anime. And hopefully it means good things for the industry. However, that's not really the times that we're in right now. And unfortunately, this is a more complicated headline than it would be, 10 years ago or so, when we could simply say, oh, it means more people are interested in anime. No, there's absolutely a problem with this now, and it's a bit concerning because there's an issue with companies these days forcing politics into entertainment, especially entertainment mediums that younger audiences go to. It's really creepy. It's really weird. I can give you an example right now. Earlier today, I was looking up some information on Teen Vogue. It's rather disturbing. It's a magazine marketed towards teens, obviously in the title, Teen Vogue. They are literally like weaponizing their media to try to, in my opinion, this is definitely a hyperbolic term, but to brainwash them. It's almost brainwashing to me, like to the T. And I said I'm being hyperbolic, but it's close to it, man. Like, they come out with these articles that are clearly one-sided, and they're just trying to influence young minds while they're still impressionable. And, it's just absurd. So, if more entertainment that's targeted towards a younger audience starts getting weaponized by the media, certainly they might start using anime, and that's already been happening. We see, for example, Funimation and all that. But before we continue any further, if I may mention, I hope you guys had a great Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrated. Hopefully, you've had good holidays and good holidays coming up as well. Fortunately, YouTube decided to do a subscriber purge over Christmas, so that's great. If you wouldn't mind taking a look to be sure you are still subscribed, that would be awesome. Because a lot of people are reporting, and I've seen it myself, that, yeah, there's another purge going on. I don't know, man. It's a pain. Let's not dwell on that, though. Thank you for taking the time to check that. Thank you for subbing. And let's talk about this. So, Tokyo anime has never been more popular than it is right now, and that goes for both inside Japan as well as abroad, with digital distribution making it easy to watch new content whenever you want and easily catch up on missed episodes, plus an unprecedented number of sleekly organized fan appreciation events and theatrical screenings. The medium of Japanese animation is in the middle of its biggest, loudest boom ever, and the industry has numbers to show it. The Association of Japanese Animators conducts a yearly study of industry earnings, calculating data from roughly 150 significant anime-related companies. It's just released its 2019 report, which found that for the 6th year in a row, the total size of the anime industry grew. This also reports the 6th year in a row, the industry reached a new all-time high, with the most recent study reporting industry-wide earnings of 2.18 trillion yen. Let's just round it there. Physical home video sales continued to decline, falling to 58.7 billion yen, roughly a 25% drop from the year before. That's huge. 25% drop is huge, but it's not entirely surprising. I mean, who gets videos nowadays? Anyways, on the other hand, video streaming revenue continued to rise, also not surprising, reaching 59.5 billion. As for the first time ever, streaming is accounting for more anime revenue than physical video releases. So that's actually an interesting stat. I would have actually expected that to have been the case sooner, but apparently that's now the case as of this year. More anime revenue for streaming than physical releases. Again, I'm surprised it took that long for a physical video to get outdone by streaming. That's actually the most notable thing with that stat to me. But we have a lot more to talk about, so let's take a break here in a moment. With this last paragraph. Another historic first, revenue from overseas totaled 1.0092 trillion yen. Cracking the 1 trillion yen mark for the first time, with overseas theatrical screening and anime-related video game sales mentioned as major contributors. That figure indicates that 46% of revenue came from outside Japan. 46% of rev from outside Japan, making the overseas market nearly as important as the Japanese one for the anime industry. Now, I mentioned Funimation, so if you don't know, I mean, before we go to Funimation, actually, let's talk about, again, the youth, specifically, the media will try to target older people as well, but sometimes they're a bit more entrenched in their ideas. So, of course, they like to get, again, the young, impressionable people, the youth. And we see this with a lot of media, but let's talk about anime because, well, this is an anime video. Funimation's a good example. So, I guess before we get into Funimation, still I have one more caveat. I'm trying to make this as easy to understand as possible. So, it's not as easy for the media to so-called weaponize anime for pushing their political ideas as it is like regular cartoons or teen drama or something like that. Because anime is a foreign market, and they don't understand anime as well as they understand media that comes out of the West. Understandably, a Western company will be more in tune with Western media than they will Japanese media for the most part. It's just the way it is. Same thing for Japan or whatever country. They're going to be more in tune with their own for the most part. Again, you might have a firm in Japan, a marketing firm that specializes in, international business or whatever. That's different. But the point is that at least anime has that going for it. You have these weirdos in the West who would love to put more political narratives into entertainment, especially towards younger kids, younger people, and they definitely see anime as a way of doing that. They just don't necessarily know how to implement it because it comes from Japan right now, and a lot of those themes, it's just something that they don't fully understand. So what we do have going on at the moment is companies like Funimation, where instead of trying to go, well, some people have attempted this. For example, High Guardian Spice, they've attempted to make their own anime, and that's not Funimation, that's Crunchyroll, of course. So Crunchyroll's making High Guardian Spice. You can assume there'd be a lot of political ideas in there when they're talking about how diverse the cast is in the intro. They barely even tell you anything about the anime, and I don't even want to call it anime, but they barely tell you anything about the quote-unquote anime, and they start talking about the cast and stuff like that. It's so out of touch with what fans of anime would want that it's... Who knows what's going on? Apparently, it's done. I still haven't seen episode... High Guardian Spice, man, it's just weirdness, and who knows what's going on with that. But the thing is, you have that approach, which so far has been failing, or you have the more Funimation approach, which is they take anime that already exists, they dub it, they distribute it, they license it, and do that here in the West. And in doing so, in dubbing it, they change things in the script, they interject political themes, for example, in... you surely know about this stuff probably, but like Dragon Maid, for example... there's a few other really good examples of the anime, but I always forget the names because the names are a bit similar to other anime that I watch, and I always mix them up. But you can look this up. Look up like Funimation dub change, Funimation sub change if you haven't looked this up already. I know a lot of people on my channel have because we've talked about this a lot in the past. But if you haven't looked that up, look into it. I've even done full live streams covering this stuff. It's interesting. It's also disturbing. So that's the approach right now. The media will take anime, they'll license it, then they'll distribute it here in the West and redub it and put in like political themes like that. For example, Dragon Maid was talking about like the patriarchy and stuff like that. And the anime had absolutely nothing to say. Like the original dub for Dragon Maid in this specific scene had no dialogue about the patriarchy. It gets dubbed by Funimation, and suddenly they start talking about the patriarchy and societal demands. It's like, what the heck, man? It's so wrong to me, and I do wish Japan would wake up a little bit to that. Like, I don't think they understand that companies like Funimation are, on occasion, literally changing the context of their production to interject politics into it, which also, therefore, could be defamatory to the production and the production team behind the anime when you're starting to interject your Western political ideas onto a product that they made, and you're simply supposed to translate it and distribute it. It's so simple, man. All Funimation has to do is literally their job is to just make it viewable and understandable to people in the West who don't speak Japanese. That's all they do. That's all it should be. It's so simple. We're going to pay you money. We're going to license your product. You're going to make money. And in turn, we're going to profit off of it. And we're also going to spread awareness of your product in the West because we're going to license it. We're going to redub it. And we're going to distribute it. But something so simple, instead, you have these weirdos adding another step where they're like, we're also going to change the context of certain scenes that we're not going to tell you we're going to do. You think everything's totally fine. And it's going to be very minimal changes, so you might not even find out about it. But we're going to change things here and there. Maybe one episode out of 30, or, one scene out of thousands of scenes. Little tiny things here and there. And we're going to change it, and it's going to be very shady. And hopefully we sway the opinion of those who watch the anime. It's like propaganda. It's not even just propaganda to me at that point. It is like subliminal messaging almost. Because, as I mentioned, it usually happens like in very rare situations. Even when Funimation has changed things, it's not like they changed the whole anime and the whole script. Obviously, I'm sure that at that point Japan would step in. No, they do it in very low-key ways. Again, like maybe one scene or two scenes out of the full entire anime. So a lot of it gets brushed over, and because they do it so at such a low amount, that does make it feel like subliminal messaging, because you're watching the whole anime, everything's normal, and then out of nowhere, one scene for a few seconds on the patriarchy and how bad men are. It's like, whoa, wait, what? Where did that come from? Some people might just not think twice about it, but now it's deep-seated in there, And, that starts getting into some crazy stuff maybe, but it's disturbing, man. It really is. And let's finish up this write-up. I think we got one paragraph left. There's also the question of whether or not anime industry sale growth is more proportional to the increase in the number of anime production companies as the industry churns out more and more content, or the total revenue figures being pumped up a large number of companies operating on razor-thin profit margins. Still, the Association of Japanese Animators study shows that there's a growing demand for anime around the world. And that is something that the article, I don't believe, mentioned, actually, is how profitable this is. So it says, the revenue is up, earning more money than ever, almost half of it from outside Japan. But how profitable is that? What are they actually netting? Not the gross. What is the net? The net profit, not the revenue. So that statistic is not here, unless I missed it, but I don't think I did. So, of course, you can only do so much with this information. The other thing as well, of course, is what anime is this coming from, right? Like, hypothetically, the My Hero Academia fandom is good, but there are also a lot of weirdos, a lot of very vocal weirdos in the My Hero fandom. And so, for example, if My Hero is one of the highest grossing anime outside of Japan, will Japan look at that and be like, oh, My Hero Academia is really woke, we need to make more woke anime? No, I don't think they would. Because to be honest, I don't think Japan really knows this like woke side of the My Hero fandom. They probably know more so, okay, My Hero Academia is marketed towards young boys for the most part, right? It's a shonen anime. So they're going to think that market is probably well receptive of My Hero Academia. They're not going to think about the weird side. So I don't think we have to worry about it too much, honestly. And how much of the My Hero fandom is like the weird side of it? Probably not as much as the actual intended target market. It's just, again, that they're very vocal. Some of the weird side of fandoms are very, very vocal. That's just the way it is. But the good news is, as I mentioned, I don't think Japan really knows about that vocal side because they're not going on like Twitter and Tumblr and looking up ships and stuff like that. You know what I mean? At least I don't think they are. Who knows? So on paper, I think this is not actually all that concerning, but it's still also not all fun and games. As I said at the very beginning of this video, I wish I could sit here being like, hey man, Japanese anime industry earning more money than ever, almost half of it from outside Japan. That is freaking awesome. That's amazing. Fortunately, did I say fortunately? Unfortunately, I can't be doing that. But fortunately, I'm also not going to be like, hey man, this means that anime is going to go woke, Japan's going to crumble, and everything's bad, everything's going to fall apart. No, I don't think that's the case at all. I'm more optimistic than not, even about this write-up, and I do think this is probably better for the industry than not. And these companies that try to weaponize anime, I think they'll continue to fail. They just don't understand it. Their target, like, people who love anime are never gonna be. How do I put this? The people who are anime fans are by far a majority of them don't care about all this political nonsense that's going on in the industry and all the stuff trying to be like interjected in there by companies like Funimation, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm optimistic about it. I don't think they're gonna be able to weaponize this industry that easily or ever at all. So that's good. But we'll see. I will say, as a caveat, I've also said don't underestimate things. As in, don't think Japan is completely immune to caving into certain woke themes. I mean, like, there's some people that think Japan is like the epitome of staying true to themselves and like not caving into Western ideology and stuff like that. While that's true to an extent, no, Japan is not 100% immune. So just don't overestimate Japan, have realistic expectations. And to be fair, some people think it is realistic that Japan would never cave into such. But I would counter with this. Japan already does have certain political themes going on in their country. Do you know Japan, for example, has their own Antifa? A lot of people don't know that, but yes, Japan has their own Antifa. It is quite a lot different than the Antifa here in the United States. There are a number of different things. For example, the main goals of Japan Antifa is mostly revolving Abe and removing him from office. They don't like him, and they do fight for certain other social justice themes, but it's not like here in the U.S. As far as I've seen from looking into it as well, they're also way less into physical altercations than their counterparts overseas. So you'd have to look into it more. I don't want to do a whole segment about all that here at the end of this video because we'll be going on for like another 15, 20, 30 minutes. So let me just end with this one more time. I hope you've had great holidays. I hope you continue to, and we all have a great New Year coming up. That's all I have for this report. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, consider sharing, liking the video, and commenting down below, and subscribing if you're not already. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time.